Hey, this is Ryan Mathias from MathiasMethod.com. What we're going over today is the raw footage from last week's powerlifting meet. This meet took place on September 17th, 2017 at Ironworks Athletic Club in Grass Valley, California. This is actually my home gym, the gym that I train at weekly, so it was a pretty familiar environment for me to be in. If you're ever in the Grass Valley area, make sure you check them out. Now in this video today we're going to go over all the footage from that day, including the warm-ups, so that you see what it's like to be walking around at a powerlifting meet. And let's get right into it. This was a USPA sanctioned meet, and I was in the 220-pound raw open division. As you can see right here, I'm starting with bodyweight warm-ups, and I'll later move into warm-ups for the specific exercises. Right here I'm starting to go through what's called the Daily 30. If you don't know what the Daily 30 is, you can go to MathiasMethod.com to check it out. And basically the Daily 30 is you just put your body through certain ranges of motion to teach proper movement mechanics while activating the proper muscles to fire. All these basic body weight warm-ups are just meant to warm your body up while checking that everything feels good. If something feels off, this would be the time to start working on it before moving into the actual weighted lifts themselves. So right here, this is called the paleo squat we're going through. Next will be push-ups, and then after that we'll go into the prone cobras. Now, one very important thing with any of these warm-ups is that you don't want to fatigue yourself. If you warm up too quickly and do too many repetitions and do more than what you really need, then you'll start fatiguing your muscles so they're too tired to perform well on the platform. And the whole idea of warming up and preparing yourself is just to perform well on the platform. So you want to get some movement in, get some blood flow going, and to make sure everything feels good so that you can do your best out there. So you'll see after I do quite a few of these warm-up movements, I'll do a little bit of rest. I'll walk around, stretch out a little bit, maybe go outside, breathe, get head focused to kind of cool down a little bit. Not totally cool down, just kind of relax, get the heart rate down so it's not like a cardio workout before we're actually doing stuff. So you see me outside right now, I'm just trying to think about things, think about what we got to go through throughout the day, and be prepared for the battle ahead. Next we're going to be going through some activation techniques, and these activation techniques just get your body firing the right muscles as they need to be. We'll be working on the specific muscles for each lift, and you'll kind of see that as we're going through. And now one of the hardest things there is for a powerlifting meet is just timing your warm-ups. There's a number of lifters all trying to get ready for their maximal lift, and if you warm up too soon or too late, it'll greatly affect your performance. Timing's hard because you don't really know how long each flight is going to be. There's usually about 12 to 15 people in each flight, and we can assume it takes about an hour for each of the flights to go through, but you don't know if there's a break in between or if there's going to be an issue on the platform. Maybe it takes extra time to load and unload the plate, so it's you can estimate it, but you never really know for sure. With this in mind, I recommend that you start a little early and take your time going through your warm-ups. You want to make sure, again, you don't get fatigued. You want to make sure everything's working properly, and as you're going through the movements, you want to be as explosive as possible. And the same as you would for your maximal lift, because that's, again, what you're trying to prepare for, is doing that maximal lift. Also, during your warm-ups, you want to be sure not to do too many reps, as we've been going over. If you start doing like 10, 15, 20 reps, even with light weights, it really doesn't send your body the right signal. It's more of a cardio workout than it really is preparing yourself for the explosiveness. You want to be as powerful as you can, and just stick under 5 reps is usually best. As you move up in weight, of course, you want to decrease and move that down. So you see here, I'm just finishing up the activation techniques right now, getting the quads going. We already fired up the glutes on the previous hip airplanes and the hamstrings, and then we'll be moving right into the weighted exercises, the specific exercises themselves, the squats. As you can see, there's quite a few people just kind of hanging out, wandering around. Some people are already out there in their flight doing their maximal lifts, as others are back here preparing and warming up, and another group is just resting, waiting for their turn. So there's a couple of guys I was on this rack with that are just kind of getting ready. We just had filmed myself, and I must admit that this is a great angle. I thank the cameraman very much for shooting right from here. He didn't want to stand to the side or anything, but it's a great view for everybody. Hope you're enjoying it. As you can see, we're trying to move it explosively as possible, make sure we're hitting depth, and make sure everything feels good. Again, if anything doesn't feel good, we try to fix it as soon as we can. And as you see, I'm going through these warm-ups. I'll be taking some more and more clothes off as you're doing it, because again, you can't do this with shorts or an extra shirt on or anything. So I'm just trying to keep the body warm and decrease what I'm wearing, just so I'm back down into the singlet where I'm supposed to be. This is 315 pounds here. Sorry, it's a little bit blurry for us to see, but we're just doing a couple of repetitions. As you can see, I'm usually moving down the weights. This is actually 365 pounds here. It looks just like 315 with the weight spaced out. We have a 25 in there, just because someone else was using this 275 before me. It just kind of makes it easier to switch things around. And then after this, I did a 405, but we didn't get a film of that. We just moved right into doing the weights. Now, this first attempt here is 474 pounds. This is also my first attempt in my previous meet in March. I chose this weight because I recently sustained a minor injury that affected my training. Those of you that follow me on Instagram know that about 3 to 4 weeks ago, I fell after one of my squats, and the weights landed on me, crushing my right ankle. The injury was not too serious though, so I was able to keep moving forward, but I could not really go through certain ranges of motion with my squats without tremendous pain. So instead of focusing on the things I couldn't do, I focused on the things that I could do and worked harder on my deadlifts. And we'll see how that really turned out for me in the later part, where we can see I'm having a little bit of trouble with these squats here, which that 501 should have been very easy for me, but again, had a little bit of trouble with the training. So my second attempt there, basically I missed that due to too much depth, and I had the same issue with that on my first meet. Then one of the judges said that I could go actually a bit higher, just because I was going several inches below depth, and that really played out my second attempt at that same weight, getting me a 501, which is a big PR for me. First attempt over 501 pounds. Next, we're moving on to the bench press. This meet took place from about 8 in the morning until 7 at night, so during the day you also have to find the right time to eat as you're waiting around in between these lifts. There's usually about an hour or two between each lift. So right after squats, or it's about noontime, and that's usually the best time to go out and eat something. Not that necessarily you have to leave or have something brought to you, but that is the best time to eat, just because if you have a full stomach and you're squatting or deadlifting, that usually poses a problem. But you can usually bench press on a full stomach. So right after squats is usually the best time to get a meal in. Then you have plenty of energy to do your bench press and deadlift later on. For these warm-ups, again, it's important that we set up and perform the lift as perfectly as possible, so that that'll all transfer over to our attempts on the platform. You don't want to be just kind of halfway going through it. You want to put as much energy as you can into it, whether it be just the bar or some light weights or even a heavy warm-up. Now, last meet that I had a little issue with the bench press where my hips would come off the bench. That was due to an improper setup that I have since fixed for this meet, and now more of my energy goes into stabilizing my lift rather than coming up off the bench. My first attempt here is 297 pounds. That was actually a pretty conservative start that I wanted to hit just to get into the meet before moving on. The next weight here is 314 pounds, which I threw up very easily, as I've done many times in training, and that's actually a weight that I missed at my last meet. Now we're coming on to the third attempt with 325 pounds. This lift felt light, but wasn't in the cards for that day. Sometimes that just happens where you don't really know what went wrong. It just didn't work out for the day, so we'll try to get that one next time. Now moving on to deadlift warm-ups. As you can see, there are people and bags, plates, and everything everywhere. It's a mess all around, but you just have to find a bar and work in with people to get ready for your lift. Deadlifts on this day felt really good. Went into the meet here with a couple of goals in mind. One was to squat over 500 pounds, which I did. The next was to bench press at least 314 pounds, since I missed that weight in the last meet, but got it this day. After that, I wanted to make sure to get a 600-pound deadlift because I recently pulled 585 in training fairly easily, and I knew that 600 pounds was in the tank. So with all that in mind, my overall goal was to get at least a 1,400-pound total, and luckily all these goals I accomplished. So it was a great meet for me. This lift right here is a little bit of a gym fail. You see it's 500 pounds, and the bar bends. The deadlift bar bends, so once you pick the weights up, if you don't have clips on, they tend to slide off, so that little goofy moment. The opener for deadlifts is 540 pounds, as you saw right there. It was a very easy weight for me to start with, and that was the idea. Is you always want to choose a light weight you can get into the meet with, and before moving up to the heavier weights. Next is 584 pounds, and this would not be a PR, but it would be setting me up for the 600-pound deadlift on my next attempt. And that went pretty fast and easy as well, so I felt very confident about getting the 600 pounds in my next attempt. As we'll check that one out right here. This one you have to be very focused for. It takes quite a few years and a lot of hard work to get up to some lift like this. Luckily it went up fairly easy. I actually felt like I could have done quite a bit more. So overall it was a great meet, and I really hope you enjoyed listening in. I'll talk to you next time.